Where are the mic? Where's the speakers?
Here, is it just announced to them?
Yeah.
You can try it.
I think I'll just go and shout actually.
Try it. Put it through. Reese, could you put that mic live? Yeah.
Hello?
Just trying not to go too close to the speaker. And, take your seats or whatever.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to begin at 2:30. Could we all begin to move through to the seated area?
Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's really incredibly exciting to see you all here live. I'm Erica Judge. Many of you know I'm the fund manager for Creative Communities. I wanted to thank you for coming. I'm your MC for the day. I've got some housekeeping things to talk about before we get to the main order of events. So first of all, thank you all for wearing masks if you're able. This is a masked event, so it continues to be a masked event, so please continue to wear your masks. If you haven't already found the toilets, they're over that way, and there's a disabled toilet and baby changing facilities there if you need them. There's some treads over there that if you're walking in that direction, you need to be a bit careful about. We are not expecting a fire alarm today, so if you do hear a fire alarm, please calmly evacuate the building. Your nearest fire escapes are to the left, so over that way. I've got some very specific instructions about them. Go down the stairs, out through the staff entrance, and wait at the marked assembly point at the end of the access road by the river. There's also fire escapes out that way. So follow the corridor down the stairs. There's another escape door next to the main visitor entrance, and then wait at the marked assembly point on the esplanade by the Discovery. So in the very unlikely event that that happens, we will all be told by the duty manager when it's safe to come back. We're very lucky to have a really amazing set of speakers with us today. And I'm just going to start by introducing first the Inspiring Scotland Chief Executive, Celia Tennant.
So thank you very much, Erica, for that welcome. And my job is quite simple today, so I am doing the official welcome to all of you. And I've got a very important job to say thanks to very many people who've been involved in making today's event possible. But it's been a very exciting run-up to today because this is the first time that the Creative Communities portfolio have been together in person. It's the first time that many of the Inspiring Scotland team have been together in person for a while as well, and I was very excited about what I might wear because I've really not been out the door very much since March 2020. My other half would tell you I'm really stuck to my desk. There was no chance of me getting COVID because I've been so busy at home and working away. But it is very exciting to be here with all of you, and thank you all very much for joining us. So I said my job really is a job of thanking many, many people. So first of all, a thanks to the 46 incredible organisations and their partners. There are many partners involved in the Creative Communities programme. So huge thanks to all of you for really embracing the opportunity that the funding has provided. It's been a very quick year. I think we announced the funding last summer, and you guys have been very, very busy since November doing all sorts of incredible creative things in your own communities. So huge thanks to all of you for making Creative Communities programme what it is. A special thanks to the 11 organisations, many of whom are here today, who have made the film, and this is a film premiere as well, so another milestone, have made the film possible. So thanks very much for your time and commitment to make the film we're going to see later a possibility, which will tell us all about the wonderful work that is going on. And so we have artists here today, participants, and we have incredible staff from the organisations who are really the glue and the foundation of the Creative Communities programme present with us. So thanks very much to all of you for being here. And some of you have travelled a fair old distance, so we've got folks from Skye, from Caithness and from Argyll and from all other airts and parts of Scotland. So a warm welcome to all of you, and thank you for making the journey to be here in person. So my next thanks goes to Leonie and team, because what an incredible venue to host our first gathering of the portfolio for Creative Communities. It'll be very hard, if not impossible, Leonie, to find another venue for a future event to trump this. So, and what a fitting venue to host today's event. So huge thanks to Leonie and your team, and we'll hear from Leonie later on. And the final thanks before I hand over the podium to our guest speaker is to Scottish Government, because the programme would not be possible and all the amazing work that's happening without the funding. And the funding comes from Scottish Government, and it comes from 2 directorates working in partnership, from the Justice and the Culture Directorates. And so I'm really delighted that we have Jenny Gilruth MSP, who's the Minister for Culture, Europe and international development here in person to say thank you, Jenny, because without the support, the programme wouldn't be possible. So thank you so much. And I'm really delighted to be exiting stage left here to hand over to Jenny to speak to you all. So thank you all very much. Keep up the amazing work. Thank you so much. Jenny, over to you.
Thank you for that introduction, Erica. And I know that you said people had come from far and wide today. I've come from across the Tay in Fife, so not too far from me, but I'm delighted to be here today and to celebrate really the achievements of creative communities with you. I'd really like to pay tribute to Erica and to Celia as well, for the whole Inspiring Scotland team as well too, for the invitation to come along today, but also of course to all of you for your really hard work on the programme. And I'm sure I speak for everyone here when I say I'm really looking forward to seeing the film and to learning more about the projects. The Creative Communities programme was launched as part of the Scottish Government's culture strategy, which we published in February 2020, which feels like a different lifetime from where we are today. But the strategy back in 2020 centred on a vision which really looked at the intrinsic value of the power of culture to inspire. And I think that as we reflect on the pandemic and we move forward, never has it been more important that we reflect on the power of culture to do just that. We know that cultural engagement has that impact on well-being and the broader social, economic and environmental prosperity of individuals and, of course, of communities too. And that also means that culture has a very important role to play in Scotland's recovery from the pandemic. Creative communities can have a direct part in helping us to realise those strategic ambitions. And the programme's aim, of course, of supporting and empowering communities to develop their own cultural activity speaks directly to one of the Scottish Government's key messages: culture and creativity are for us all. I know that the Creative Communities programme is working to harness this in order to strengthen neighbourhoods and transform lives across Scotland. And we'll get to see some of those impacts firsthand in the film very shortly. And that's why I'm really pleased that the Scottish Government invested £2 million to date in creative communities. And we already heard about the cross-partnership working between justice and culture. That's not something that often happens, I think, to be perfectly honest, in government. But I think it's really good that we identify where some of those portfolio links exist and we share knowledge across departments where we're able to do so. I'm particularly delighted, though, that the programme has been co-funded too by both the Culture Department and the Justice Department, because it highlights to other portfolios in government the need to have that cross-portfolio working, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the film in a wee minute. More broadly, we are working to try and embed that cross-portfolio working, which I mentioned. And the opportunity to work across those portfolios really identifies, I think, some of the messages we'll see, hopefully, in the film later, in terms of the importance for culture for every part of government. I want to thank you all for the energy, flexibility and care you've shown in your communities in developing, delivering and participating in this work, particularly because it was during the pandemic. And as we move forward, in terms of the recovery from the pandemic, the work you're doing is even more important in terms of helping to support well-being and inspiring community-led engagement across the country. And the images that we're about to see, I'm sure, are going to demonstrate that talent and skill that there is in your communities. And in the projects, I can already see in terms of the experiences that have been identified through local culture coming through, which generates that distinct sense of place, identity and pride, which is so important. And we're here today in the V&A, which I think really encapsulates some of those things in essence. So I'm really pleased to be here with you today and to take the opportunity to recognise what you've all achieved over a very difficult year. I want to thank Inspiring Scotland again for inviting me to the event and for giving me the opportunity to share in your well-earned celebration. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. And now I'd like to introduce Ismail Yambasu, who is joining us from Maryhill Integration Network. Their project is called the Museum of Things, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his experience.
Good afternoon, all. I am Ismail Yambasu, Israeli and an asylum seeker living in Glasgow. Indeed, what God cannot do does not exist. And indeed, just an event is a milestone in transforming me and the things I've been doing in the project. It's been a welcoming news for me to have this maiden speech in front of a mammoth crowd like this. Initially, arts and art-related activities, I was just thinking that I'm not part of it. So when I was contacted during the pandemic in my apartment that I need to be part of a project like this, I told the ones that invited me that I can't draw. And they were so calm and have the zest to say, no matter what you can do something with your hands. I said, how can I? They persuaded me to do the thing. And guess what, my people? And I started doing a little bit, having courage, given the courage, the zest to keep doing what I'm doing. However, though, I used to learn something that there is no drawing, that is no good. So that motivated me more to put emphasis on what I'm doing. And guess what? That has helped my psychological well-being in the pandemic. It was not easy living in the pandemic, an asylum seeker in a home where I shared accommodation. So the only option I have on that time was on my Wednesdays, 12 noon, my God, I can't wait. When the alarm rings, I will just go with my instrument and my toolkit to do what I know I have been following immensely. So this is a project that I think has transformed me immensely. It helps boost my mental well-being, my confidence, my self-esteem, and it brings smiles onto me. And I want to say thank you to the Merrill Integration Center that given me this opportunity. I did not mean for you guys. I was bored. I have nowhere to reach. But with you on a Zoom on a Wednesday, my God, it was like awesome. So you have impacted me. And to the organizers of this event, I want to say kudos. Your money was well spent. Madam Minister, your money was well spent. I'm a testimony. Of course, yes, I keep on laughing. And even when after 2 o'clock, when the session ends, I will continue doing my thing. They will just call Ishmael, continue doing your thing. I'm grateful to you guys, Musa and others. So this is the thing. It brought smiles to me, and I think it won't be a one-off thing, my people. There are other people that are there, hoping and wishing to have this opportunity. Let it don't be a one-off thing. And Madam Minister, of course, yes, you're a government person. This message will reach out that there are other people, that this thing will transform their mental state. Mark you, we are under pandemic, and it's not easy. People have, and stress can lead to trauma. We know what trauma can lead to. So with a certain event, your mind is busy doing the things that you like. So that will deviate you from doing something that is not good. So without much ado, I want to say it's a kudos to you, it's applause, but please let it don't be a one-off thing. Let it be a continuous thing, and let it reach to other people that do not have the opportunity of going and getting it. I'm a beneficiary. Thank you, because this thing is a miracle in my life. It's brought smiles. See, today is the first of me coming to Aberdeen, living in Glasgow. Again, it's applause to you guys. So it's a ding-dong thing. I appreciated it wholeheartedly, but please, let it reach and continue to reach others that do not have the opportunity. And it's never too late. It's never too easy. A million smiles journey starts with a single step. And this is a step. It's a giant step. It's the right step. And your funds are used, I can say, as a testimony, aptly. So just continue sharing the olive branch to other people that really need this opportunity. I want to say thank you. I want to say it's really been a miracle here for me and for the project and for all others that we are in this together. It was a team. And the meaning of a team simply tells us that everyone achieved more, and I achieved. And every other person that was in this project achieved something. Laughter, peace, mental well-being, and it creates a lot of things in our cycle. I want to say thank you.
Thank you, Ishmael. I don't know if the movie's going to be able to top that. So now it's the time we've all been waiting for. It's our Creative Communities film.
The Creative Communities programme is a programme that Inspire Scotland's delighted to be involved in. We launched in 2020 with the Scottish Government Culture Division and Scottish Government Justice, and it's part of the culture strategy. It's a brilliant programme providing diverse types of cultural activity across Scotland's communities with people in communities and for people in communities, showcasing the talents of artists and creatives, and it's all about improving the well-being of people in communities across Scotland.
I'm going to show you the technique, and it's all going to be inspired by the harbour. Just practice how pressure. You'll see as well if you like dig in. Basically, it's going to be really hard to cut. Part of the reason for doing this programme is to give kids a taste of metalwork and a taste of soldering and saw piercing and texturing and all the techniques that you wouldn't be able to do in Caithness. Otherwise, you'd have to go off to Aberdeen or Glasgow or Edinburgh.
Our Creative Communities funded project is called Caithness Artists in Residence, and it's a brand new community arts initiative which places artists right at the heart of their communities here in Caithness.
My projects are about using crafts to tell a story. I've been collaborating with Befriending Caithness. They're a group of volunteers who connect with those who are isolated and vulnerable in the community.
Joanne asked if I would do the reminiscence workshop. A lot of people talked about school days, so it kind of evolved from there. But, you know, it's building confidence to the person who's sharing the story and giving them a sense of self-worth and builds their self-esteem.
Creative Communities funding for us has been absolutely transformational. It's been really flexible, and as a co-design project which we've co-collaborated with our communities and participants to design, that's really important. So it's been really an opportunity for us to learn and share with the other funded projects as well as we go.
I'm so happy with painting and with group. You stay at a home is no good for health. Go to home and feel like anxiety in thing, but in coming in Maryhill is help.
The Museum of Things is a new partnership project between Maryhill Integration Network and Glasgow Connected Arts Network. The main participants are asylum seekers and refugees. So the impetus from it really came from our service users telling us that they wanted to be part of projects where they could really represent themselves and tell their own stories.
I came here bored and lonely, knowing nobody. So art can help you regain your lost consciousness, instill hope, instill passion, and help you develop mentally.
Those art projects, from the outside, they might seem a luxury, but in the core of them, they are essential. The Creative Communities Fund help refugees belong in the community. They help them get support, and eventually that support can translate it for the refugees to become a bigger part in the community.
Look, that's you on the stage.
I don't know what I was doing there.
What were you doing there?
I think I was doing my Billy Elliot bit.
Oh, you were, that's right, you were doing Billy Elliot in Aberfeldy.
Creative Communities project in Aberfeldy opened up creative arts opportunities in a rural community for children with complex needs.
Charlotte, what do you like most about the workshops like?
We get to do fun stuff.
So within Aberfeldy, there's very minimal resources and services for children and families with profound disabilities or learning disabilities or additional support needs. We have to access the towns like Perth and Dundee for that, which means an hour's travel away.
It's so amazing for the children. They've had such a fun time, and to see them grow and develop, to get self-esteem and confidence, and to learn about their community and how they see themselves in that community. Just really want it to continue sort of throughout the whole life, really.
So here we go.
Here in Kirkcaldy YMCA, we've got quite a lot of resource. We've got good physical resources in the building, but what we don't have is we don't have budgets to pay for staff to deliver the services.
Yeah, okay. It's all right, Al. It's okay, Alan. We can rise above it. Bring me my proper sound engineer. I'm only kidding. So, okay, so let's go for it again. Okay, so take one.
The Creative Communities Fund has enabled us to employ 5 tutors, so 2 doing arts and crafts, we've got 2 doing music, and we have another tutor who delivers the watercolour class.
I don't think there is anything like this project anywhere else locally.
It's great for my anxiety, because like socially and that, it's just great to get everyone together and make new friends.
This project, these staff, the way this works has saved my life 100%.
Right, can we go from once upon a time the hippopotamus lived on land? 3, 2, 1, go.
Prior to this project, the number of children that used to visit the organization were around about 10, 15, but we've got over 60 now, you know, and this is the project that has attracted them to our organization. Something what's different about the Creative Fund or Inspiring Scotland is the ongoing support. Because when we are applying for funding, it's more than just the money that we're looking for. We had the idea of the project, yes, they gave us the funding, but we may not have had the experience. And that's exactly what Inspiring Scotland did for us, teaching us steps, teaching us what to do. The things that I've learned, I'm now applying them with other funders. So we want to permanently set up a Heart Academy as a result of this project, because we've seen the talent that are there and we just don't want them to fade away.
Is muziek kool is kaartig, ingentig en huil. Maar honnen us dat tumer ik trai. Iers gesmurig, bieg zuur toch laune nunje. Taskatchen laan, jaganlan ans the pie. This rhyme scheme, the meter, everything like that. And then I translated it into English, and it doesn't sound the same at all. It sounds completely different.
I've lived in a croft for all my life. The old traditions, they might not be used as much as more now, but they can be relevant for stuff such as fighting climate change.
The School of Plural Futures is an alternative school working with an artist and a group of folk from Skye, and together we're talking about all the issues that affect people living here.
It's made me more in tune to looking at how climate change is affecting my local area and the things that we can all do collectively within our small villages, within our island, but also looking at it as a global approach.
Sitting on that bench in that cell where all my rights has been taken away, it was a hard piece of bread to swallow.
OK, everybody, nice to see you all. Thanks very much for coming.
The Create Express Transform project that we run through Creative Communities is for people that we work with in the community and also up in HMP Grampian. I think for us it's that join with culture and justice, because that's everything that we do in adult services. It's phenomenal.
Let's press record.
You can't express just how much it does really change people's lives.
Okay. Shmuel encouraged me to get education, so I have decided to go to the Napier University and gonna be studying there. It's something out of the picture in my previous life. Comparing to this one is just such a massive change. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing this good. Yeah, I'm good at this.
You are. Bethany is a homelessness charity, and I work as part of the Homelessness Prevention Division.
Entire life doing it.
Okay, and then off.
This is my first time.
There we go.
This is the first time.
What do you think of that?
Good. Let's do another stencil.
So one of the things that's been fantastic about Creative Communities funding is it really shows the value of placing creativity into the hearts of communities, building community, building skills, building confidence, and also being able to come alongside people in quite a soft way and maybe being able to signpost them on to further support.
You just go under a couple and then you go over a couple. Getting your arms angled. Oh, I think you're standing on it.
It's nice for like people to socialize and make new friends or do fun stuff because it likes help to make the community to be more joyful.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
The Creative Community funding, it's basically what allows us to give to make these public art projects and also give the workshops for free.
During the pandemic, I was delivering online classes to people who were living in flats on their own, not seeing anybody, maybe not with anybody local. One of the main functions was a way of people connecting with each other. And very quickly the group dynamic developed into real friendships. The workshops are linked to producing pieces that are then installed in the public spaces that have been sometimes quite neglected and making a real difference.
Bringing public art into Gorgie is a really good thing. I think sometimes it can be seen as like a little bit dreary, so having these things to like kind of boost the area and make it more interesting, make it more aesthetically pleasing, it could be really good.
This Creative Communities funding has been extremely positive for the artists of Gorgie Collective and really helps the community cohesiveness in a positive, creative way.
We're using the Creative Communities Fund to develop an intergenerational project where we could bridge the gap between older members of the community and younger members of the community. And then lockdown happened and we had to think more dynamically about how we were going to do that. And that's when we decided we would publish a book.
Hello.
Hello.
On my deliveries, I've built up a good relationship with a lot of the younger people. And they've got to understand me and I understand where they're coming from as well. I just think it's wonderful that we can work together.
The older participants in the project are writing the stories about growing up in the Vale of Leven, and our younger participants, working with Barry the cat, the artist, are illustrating these stories.
So she's Peggy Marlin, she's 82 years old and has 2 daughters and 1 son. What can we take out of that for illustration purposes?
It's brought things back to my memory again now, you know. Kept me from going crazy with the lockdown, and if it helps the children, it's great.
This one's about Peggy's life, going through the changes of the jobs that she went through. I really enjoy the book workshop because I can draw, which makes me happy and it makes me calmer. And plus, I like learning about other people's lives and history.
A lot of people we work with don't have strong family connections or friendship circles and are maybe coming to us having lived in some capacity within the criminal justice system. Unbound is a community group that meets here at our space in the Gallowgate every Tuesday evening. Of course, with the pandemic, we've had to do a lot of that work online.
We walked the tightrope.
Waiting for the Daylight came about after one of our community members, Hannah, posted a creative challenge on the theme of beauty. Martin responded by posting a photo he'd taken of some swallows sitting on 5 power lines and noted that they looked a bit like notes, musical notes on a stave. Alison then played those notes on a piano and sent an audio recording of that. Community members were able to record themselves on their phone. We sort of made a choir section in the song. And worked on a set of lyrics, just bouncing thoughts and feelings and ideas off each other.
The Creative Communities Fund is important because it recognises the role of the creative arts in supporting relationships. Crime is a result of disintegration, miscommunication, lack of understanding, and the creative arts has a particular role to play in supporting relationships that build understanding and find new ways forward towards healthy society.
Creative Communities was launched as part of the Scottish Government's culture strategy, which launched back in February 2020. And we knew then that access to culture was hugely important. As we move out of the pandemic, there is a recognition that access to culture is perhaps even more important now as the inequalities of the pandemic have set in. The fund itself is worth £2 million and it is in conjunction with the Justice Department in the Scottish Government. And we think that's really important, showing cross-portfolio working in terms of how people access culture and recognising the links across government departments.
Creative Communities is part of the Scottish Government's commitment to making sure that we can offer opportunities for people to be involved in creative activities. And we found this is very beneficial for people's mental health. It gives them opportunities to engage in ways that they otherwise wouldn't do. By providing these creative opportunities, we are confident that we can build a better, more resilient Scotland, which is also more inclusive.
The Creative Communities programme has demonstrated how important this type of connection for people in their communities is. We've seen such brilliant activity, which is so enriching when we involve people in arts and creativity. As we emerge from the pandemic, that type of enriching, rewarding activity, so good for people's well-being, is going to be needed now more than ever.
Well, I thought that was amazing, and I want to thank everyone who participated, not just in the film itself, but in all the projects, for the amazing work that you've been doing over the past year. I think now is probably a good time to just give a special thanks to our filmmaker, Patrick Steele, who did such a great job capturing what this fund is all about. Patrick, you're here somewhere, aren't you? And our final speaker today is Leonie Bell. Leonie is the director of the V&A Dundee, who have been so kind and to host us today. I want to thank Leonie and her whole team for an incredible amount of support that they've given us for this event. Now, Leonie, in addition to the debt of gratitude we owe her for letting us have the event here, she also was the driving force behind the culture strategy itself. So I don't think we'd be here if you hadn't done the great work you do. So thank you, Leonie, and I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Erica. And actually, I'm going to find it really hard to follow that film and Ishmael as well, because that struck something very deep down within me, and I'm sure it did across all of you sitting here today. And actually, it's emotional just seeing all of you here. I joined V&A Dundee on October last year, and I had 2 months of us being open when I then had to, with everybody else across society, close V&A Dundee down again as the pandemic took hold of our lives once again. And I feel very strongly that this space that you're sitting in, all of this building, outside and inside, is designed to have people in it. People in it talking and laughing, maybe crying, and just being together and sharing in experiences and having a dialogue about who we are. And what you have shown me in that film is a sort of place that I want to be. It was amazing. So thank you, all of you, for coming here today from all across Scotland. I know that probably with quite a lot of apprehension, actually, you thought, do I travel? Do I come? How am I going to feel being on the train or the bus or in the car? You know, we're all making those decisions as we transition into this new way of living. So I know that they're very difficult decisions that we're all making as we navigate this new world that we're in. So thank you for being here, and thank you for bringing a community to V&A Dundee this afternoon. I'm not going to take up too much of your time, because what we want to do today, as you know, we're closed today to the public, and that's a result of the pandemic, but actually we're really getting a lot of value from this, because we're able to, on one of the 2 days that we're closed, invite different groups, either from across our own city of Dundee, our own region, or further afield like we're doing today, and actually give V&A Dundee over to different people in a way that maybe people don't always feel comfortable with on our normal opening days. So after I finished being emotional with all of you, we're going to open up all of our galleries and let you spend however long you want for the next couple of hours enjoying the shows that we've got on. But I have a feeling that some of you have maybe have never been to V&A Dundee before, so I'm just going to describe who we are a little bit, and then I'll declare my interest fully, as Erica has already shared with you in the culture strategy as well, which is another reason why I'm probably feeling a bit emotional, because it's taking me back to some really horribly designed meeting rooms that we had meetings in about this project, and here we are in this beautiful space. So V&A Dundee is Scotland's design museum, and we're delighted that you're all here, absolutely delighted. And what we aspire to be is a really welcoming place for everyone, where you can come and explore through design the past, the present, the future, the established ideas that we understand in society, but also the more experimental, and all in this beautifully designed, unique environment that we have. For us, design is a way that we can reflect the world that we live in today. It's very much, even though we are a museum, we're very much a place of now and the future, even though we also look back. We hope to be a gathering place for people from across Dundee to use as an everyday part of their lives. And actually, watching that film and going back on my own little memory trip of where I was a few years ago when I was working on the culture strategy, we quite often hear in this city and in places across the country, that's not for me, culture's not for me, V&A Dundee's not for me, and I firmly disagree with that, but we have work to do to help address that. I believe that in this city and in Scotland, V&A Dundee is a place where every single person who lives in this country or who visits it feels they have a right to be. For us, culture is a fundamental human right. We should all have a right to express it and to access and participate in it. So for us, a museum is a place of now and going forward. As I said, it's a place where we can understand our shared histories, but also where we've told the stories of those histories in ways that we now need to reimagine and tell in different ways. So you may see some of that within the Scottish Design Galleries today. Design surrounds us. Sometimes I think people think design is something that's expensive, that it's a luxury. It's not. It informs every single decision we make every single day of our lives, from the moment we wake up, from the moment we're born, right through our entire experience of life. Design makes a difference. Design often is bad, though. It doesn't always help us. So we're here to advocate for design when it can be a powerful force for good in all of our lives, the clothes we wear, to the places we live, to how we all travelled here today, and importantly to the communities that we form and how we communicate as well. Over and above all of that, that's design that's stuff, if you like. That's design that's a building like this and the things that we hold and that we touch around all of us. Design is also an attitude for us, and it's also a really important participatory process. And some people have touched upon that, and I think it's maybe a value that we all share here today, is that design can also give people the agency and the skills to change the world around them, no matter whether that's an inch of change or an enormous change. Both of those are really, really important. And through our partnership with UNESCO City Design, we see that happening across the city all the time, and it's great for us that UNESCO are also part of the Creative Communities project. So back to where I was a few years ago. So I was working for the Scottish Government. I was seconded in from a job I had at Creative Scotland, where I was Director of Arts, to work on developing Scotland's first culture strategy in over 10 years. And there was 2 or 3 things that we really, really tried to do. And actually, I didn't really know until today whether we'd been successful or not. But one of the things we really tried to do was to position culture across all of Scottish Government and local authority service and policy development as something that couldn't sit on its own island. It was something that is not ornamental and for some, it's fundamental and for all. Therefore, all policy areas across Scottish Government, all ministers need to be interested in it. And so I had a meeting with Celia and Helen, who's also here today, with my colleague Diane McClafferty in Scottish Government. And we sat in a really grey meeting room and we just thought, what can we do here? How can we bring our ambition for the culture strategy together with all the amazing strengths and the resource and expertise that we knew Inspiring Scotland had? And then I departed the Scottish Government and went and worked in a town called Paisley. I'll touch on that as well. So for me to see all of this coming together today is a really special moment, and I'm just so delighted to be sharing all of that with you. So as well as elevating culture to being something fundamental across how a government understands what its future can be for its citizens and residents, we also wanted to make another really, really big shift. And yet again, you've demonstrated that today. Is that culture doesn't just happen in some places for some people. It doesn't just happen in museums like this or in opera halls or in you know, fancy venues and in big festivals in major cities. It happens in our schools, our prisons, on our street corners, in our marketplaces, online, because it happens in everyday ways all the time. And actually the locally driven, locally led and critically locally loved culture and creativity is often where the biggest transformation occurs. So we really wanted to try and make that shift within the culture strategy too. And again, I think that you've all done that. So for me, from that grey meeting room with really amazing people like Celia and Helen and others that then came around it, to then becoming a funding programme. So you see it going from a conversation that became policy and strategy endorsed by a cabinet. You then see it become a funding programme that had resource given to it across 2 departments through Inspire Scotland. But the real power, the real magic happens when it's given into your hands. And to see it live through your hands and your words has just been amazing this afternoon. I then went to Paisley after I was in the Scottish Government, and a lot of people were saying to me, why are you going to work in a town like Paisley when you've been in government? And actually I felt more and more when I was in government that I wanted to be in the heart of neighbourhood and community to actually understand how you can put policy into practice. And actually is policy sometimes too distant from the reality of what we were trying to do? And in Paisley I had 2 amazing years where I witnessed a town with the most amazing ambition, amazing soul, try and move regeneration on from being something that is an economic driver to something that is deeply about the soul of a place. And in Paisley I was working with the third sector voluntary organisations as well as the local authority and the private sector, and saw that actually everything is in those places anyway. Everything is in all of us and all of you. Everything is in those neighbourhoods. We just don't understand that that's where the potential is. And again, what you've demonstrated today, you give the resource, you give the support, and then the magic happens. It's there anyway. I do not believe that culture and creativity isn't in communities. I think it's there all the time. It's just that we don't always recognise it and we don't always value it and support it. And again, that's what we've all witnessed today, which is really, really special. There was a line that a colleague said to me in Paisley that's never left me, that it's probably about time that we move from talking in terms of community empowerment to community power, and I really believe that, and I think that you've again all demonstrated that today, that we have no right to empower other people. All we can do is shine a light on where it's already happening and use the levers that people like me in jobs I've had can maybe just kind of move in different ways, but the power is within you. We just all need to kind of try and unleash it in different ways. So I'm going to end there. It's been a great afternoon. What we're going to do now is open all our spaces up for you. So just be in the space if you want. Just enjoy the architecture indoors and outdoors. Have a moment, talk to each other, be quiet. Or you can go for a dance in Night Fever. If any of you have been out clubbing recently, you maybe want to rest from it. But for those of you who haven't been out clubbing recently, you can go through 5 decades of clubbing history all around the world, from Italy to London to Manchester to New York and Berlin. And you end up back in Glasgow, Paisley, Dundee and Edinburgh. It's a real joy of a show, and it also has greater resonance because we're all coming out of this lockdown way of living. The Scottish Design Galleries are behind you over here, and this is a jaunt through in hundreds of objects, 500 years of Scottish design history, but that design history is social history. We've got a really big focus on decolonisation at the moment and actually making quite significant shifts in how we tell the stories of the objects that are within our collection that we've borrowed from different museums and collectors across the UK. So it'd be great for you also to spend time in there. And then down this corridor here, we have an exhibition that I think also resonates with the same values that we're all sharing today, called What If Scotland, where we went around 5 places. It was supposed to be in Venice, but we're delighted it's here in Dundee. 5 different places where residents and citizens were paired by architects for a few days. And the citizens and residents took those architects on a tour of their places and said, this is the problems I see, this is the opportunity I see, and the architects then responded to it. So it's 5 places across Scotland, and of course we added Dundee to it as well. So please do spend time in V&A Dundee. It's yours for the afternoon, and thank you for having me along, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Leonie. That was yet another amazing talk. So, as Leonie said, the museum is now open for you to enjoy until 5:30. So, we do have some limits on numbers, but I think, you know, as long as you kind of arrange yourselves around, it should be fine. And you can also just talk and have a blether, and hopefully those of you who haven't already met, I'll have the chance to meet now. So, thank you all again. Welcome, and yeah, enjoy.